Oops.
Hey, Miss McClellan.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm doing good with my story. I realize I might be a little dark.
It's all
Can I
right.
read my essay out to class?
Your
Really, Don?
which thing are you talking
Yeah, the realist thing.
about? The short story?
Mm-hmm.
You can.
Okay.
If you want to do it right now while I'm like taking attendance and stuff, that's fine.
Okay, cool. That's what I want to do. Okay. This is called Living Black. The themes that I used are harsh realities on life, social issues, argues that life is dedicated by forces beyond our control, depicts the struggle man has to adapt to his environment, and views of life from all races, classes, and genders.
All right.
Finding love as a Black person is difficult. I can't speak from a whole bunch of experience, but I know that I know how difficult it is when I like someone. The thought that always runs through my head is, I wonder if they like Black girls. The next thought is, do they like Black people in general? In today's society, Black people are a little more accepted than we used to be. However, there is not much change. You would think that it would be easier to date within our race, but that is incorrect. For Black women, we are not as appreciated by Black men as much as you would believe. More Black men prefer women outside their race, or more specifically, white women. There's obviously nothing wrong with preference, but there are Black men that take that preference and change it into colorism, slander, stereotyping, and so much more. When I say this, I mean calling dark-skinned women ghetto, saying they stink, saying they're ugly. They give so much more love towards lighter-skinned, mixed women. When they do like dark-skinned women, it's usually dark-skinned women with Eurocentric features or the Instagram or palatable women, not the normal or average dark-skinned women. This even goes for light-skinned women. She has to have bright eyes, Eurocentric features, not mid-tone light skin, but white passing or very light skin. Like I said, Instagram or palatable towards them. I used the term white passing in this sentence before. That is a term used by people of color to describe people of color, to describe a person of color who has the same skin complexion as a white person, or their skin is light enough to be a white person. As a white passing person of color, they do not experience the same criticism as people of color who aren't white passing face. They instead receive prejudice from their own community. I have experienced this myself. A majority of my friends are Black, and I was talking with a group of Black people, and I had an opinion about something, and one girl went, "Be quiet, you're white." That statement has stuck with me ever since. This person knew I wasn't white or even mixed, but because I was light-skinned and spoke in a quote unquote proper way, I was called white. I put quotes around proper because the way I speak/spoke will be considered that way. Code switching is a way to explain it as well. My white voice, proper, not ghetto speech patterns make me sound white. I mean that exactly how I mean it, white. That's as best as I can put it. Easy to digest to white people. If I spoke how I normally spoke, most would say, "You sound Black." To any person who has lived in this world, you know exactly what that means, even if you don't mean for it to be racist or prejudiced. This stigmatism has been taught to all of us, whether we decide to acknowledge it or not, whether it was specified to us, or even if you can't place a physical or verbal lesson. This has been taught to all of us. There is a way to explain sounding Black. It's called African American Vernacular English, or AAVE. It is how most African Americans speak. Certain words are used in AAVE, such as child, lit, woke, cis, turn up, slay, period, and ratchet are just a few examples. You're probably thinking, those are just regular words, or everyone talks like that. But because it has been appropriated by white people, it's now the new normal. Statements like, I've been done, did that, I don't even care, go off, have been normalized because white people use it. Things like this used to be ghetto, but now that white people are using them for profit and commercializing them, it's okay. Box braids and cornrows were created during slavery for Black people to help them escape. There are people of color and white people who wear them because it's just hair. Most who wear the styles don't even understand the struggle. Overlining lips and getting lip injections to have bigger lips is a form of cultural appropriation. How? Well, Black people have naturally bigger, fuller lips than most other people. In the 1900s, media portrayed Black people with charcoal dark skin and big red lips. These were considered ugly. Fast forwarding into the future, everyone now wants bigger lips without repercussions. You can say the same for any type of cosmetic plastic surgery to make a body part bigger. The N-word is a big part of it. It is a derogatory slur used against Black people during slavery times to degrade them. Now anyone can say it because it's just a word. No one will ever understand the struggle Black people go through to exist. Ask any person of color and they will tell you the same struggle, just with different words in a different way. Black people have had to adapt to these things because white people make it so that it's okay, and then other races follow suit and think it's okay to do. Things like this are called cultural appropriation. This is why Black people still go through systemic racism, microaggression, and hate. What do I mean by systemic racism and microaggression? Here are some examples / real life situations. Faith Finity was forced to leave school because of her hair extensions, box braids. CJ Stanley was not allowed to go to school because his hair was below his ears, dreads. Lolaide Sinbola had the cops called on her because she fell asleep in Yale's common area after studying all night. Police didn't believe her when she showed her ID and the fact that she had a key to her dorm room. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Tony Robinson. Incidents like these are systemic racism. Microaggression example, you're so pretty for a Black girl. I didn't know your hair could get so long. You people, or my absolute favorite one, I thought you would like fried chicken / Kool-Aid / watermelon. Touching our hair is a form of microaggression. These are some obvious examples, but things like this make living Black difficult. Now, there are obviously good things that come with being Black. Great, even. I get a scholarship just for being Black. We have great music and food, beautiful hairstyles. We even have our own genre of movies called Black exploitation. It was created in the mid-70s that featured mostly Black people. They used the idea that Black people are thugs and made them into basically superheroes. Movies such as Foxy Brown, Black Dynamite, and Superfly all came from that. As Black people, we turn bad into good, always looking on the bright side. Perfect example. On December 21st, 2020, the planets aligned. In the Bible, this was said to be the end of suffering of all Black people, the ending of the 400 years. We would become enlightened and we would know the truth. Someone on Twitter took that and made us believe we were getting superpowers at the midnight of the 21st. There were jokes, memes about us flying, time travel, super speed, silly things like that. Even though we suffered, we found the light in it all. I'm saying all of this to say, I'm thankful to be Black, African American, Nigerian descent. I am proud to become a descendant of kings and queens. I am proud to have nappy hair and big lips. I am in love with the fact that I am able to experience the suffering and the hatred because I know in my DNA and my blood and my soul that I will overcome it all and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Cece, that's great. I love it. I wouldn't change a thing, honestly. I think it's all so important. While it's not exactly a short story, I'm not going to hold that against you. It's like more of a personal essay, but I'm not going to hold that against you because I think it's really good. And you used the 3 examples of realism that you said you would, and it all works out. And I think it's really solid. It's really good.
Thank you.
So while we're on the subject of these short stories or these pieces of writing, this is the original realist / naturalist short story, which is due on Friday. I'm caught up with grades. Am I right in saying that? Hang on one second. Yes. Okay. I am caught up on grades up to this point. And when I was putting in a few grades a little bit ago this morning, because several of you have not been turning things in, your grades have really dropped. It's been kind of a roller coaster this year with y'all's grades because some of you have been really low and then turned some stuff in, got really high, and then now you've dropped back off. So the reason that I'm saying this in regards to this writing assignment is because I did mention possibly using it as a test grade. And just so you know, I went ahead and made the assignment in Power School, and I just tested it out on somebody's grade, someone who has a failing grade, to see like what would the difference be if this person turned this in and did a great job on it. So someone who had a failing grade, I put in a 100 for this assignment for just a second to see, and it brought their grade up by 23 points. So that's really significant. If I did it as another writing assignment, it probably wouldn't be quite as much just because you have so many other writing assignments already that your grade would kind of average out. Like if you're always making hundreds on writing assignments, then getting 100 on this wouldn't change your grade. If I left it as a writing assignment, if I use it as a test grade, because we don't have any other ones, it will. Hopefully that makes sense. That's a little bit more mathematical than I usually like to get. But that being said, it's really important, and particularly if you are someone who currently has a failing grade, you will want to make sure that you turn this in and do a really good job on it. We'll have another daily grade this week, and we'll have a quiz grade this week on Friday because I'm about to show you guys the vocab for today, for this week. But again, with quiz grades, if you're always making hundreds on the vocab quizzes, making 100 on this one is not going to affect your grade very much. That's not to say don't try, because if you make a really bad grade, it'll definitely affect your grade, but not in the way you want it to. So those are the 3 grades we'll have this week. I don't have next week planned yet, but we have this week and next week, and that's it for quarter 2. I can't believe we're still in quarter 2. I feel like we've been in school forever, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. So you want to make sure that you do a really good job this week and next week and try to bring those grades up. Okay, so I'm going to introduce the vocab words. I will, in 1 second, so I don't show everybody each other's grades. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, we have 10 words. Ethan Frome is the name of the book we're about to start reading. I don't know if I mentioned that. We won't get very far in it this week. It's a short book, but there's a lot to it. I think it's only like 9 chapters, maybe 12. But we'll get through the prologue this week. It's a frame narrative, and we'll set up that frame, and then we'll talk about, we'll read more of it the next week. Okay, so some words that we're going to run into in Ethan Frome. The first one is reminisce, which you've probably heard of. It just means recalling past experiences or events, remembering, lingering on your memories. Number 2 is ebb, which is a verb that means to flow back or away, to decline or decay. People usually associate this word with like the shore or waves, like the tide ebbs away. But it can mean all kinds of things, or be in reference to all kinds of things. Number 3 is reticent, which is an adjective. You can describe somebody as being reticent, which means they're disposed to be silent or not to speak freely. Reserved. I probably think some of you are a great deal more reticent than you actually are, because you don't talk very much in class. Number 4 is plight, which means an unfavorable condition, state, or situation. Anybody ever seen the movie Cold Mountain? I always think of Cold Mountain when I hear the word plight, because when Renee Zellweger's character comes to help Nicole Kidman out at her farm, she was like, I know about your plight. And she was just like, plight. I like that movie a lot too, and the book. Number 5 is stark, which is an adjective that means severe or bare in appearance. And spoiler alert, the name of the town or village or whatever that Ethan Frome takes place in is Starkfield. And that's not coincidental. They've definitely intended to name it Starkfield. So you can probably put together some idea of what this town might be like. Repugnant means distasteful, objectionable, or offensive. No matter how hard I try to like broccoli, I still just find it repugnant. It's just my little example I just came up with. It's not one of the sentences. Number 7 is preclude, which means to prevent or make impossible. Stop someone from doing something, to preclude them. Number 8 is flux. Isn't that a fun word? It makes me think of acid reflux. But what that means is continuous change or movement. Something can always be in flux. Like right now, I feel like the state of virtual school, the state of education has been in flux for the last year, and probably will be for another year. Number 9 is sallow, which means of a sickly yellow color, making you appear sickly, like your complexion and your demeanor. You're gonna look sallow. And number 10, very fun word, querulous, which means full of complaints or peevish. Somebody who's just like nagging all the time, very querulous. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to go through these sentences and do the fill in the blanks. This is published on Canvas as an assignment. You probably know this by now, but just to clarify, it's as an assignment, not because you have to turn it in, you don't, but so that you each have your own copy and can write down the answers and study with them over the week. I'm unlikely to change the sentences for the quiz. Like I'll probably use these sentences because Last time I taught this, I made the quiz, so I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Let's use it again. Unless I use different sentences on the quiz, which I haven't looked at it, so I don't know. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes, maybe about 10 minutes to work on this. And once we're done going over it, remind me to tell you about a thing. I'm just going to stop the video, mute myself, and stop sharing while you guys are working on this.
The thing.
What?
You said remind us. You want us to remind you to tell
You about. Yeah, I mean it's a school related thing, but I meant to talk about it at the beginning and I forgot. All right, about ready to go over it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yay. All right. I'll share my screen again. I don't guess I really need to share my screen this time, but I've already done it now. Okay, the first one, though I started feeling slightly better after my bout with pneumonia, my complexion was still blank and I still felt too weak to go to work.
Where is it? Where did I just? Oh, there it is. Sallow.
Yes. Good job. All right, number 2. While everyone believes the defendant to be guilty, a lack of evidence still may blank the jury from convicting him.
Preclude.
Preclude, yes. O.J. Simpson's a very good example of that. Part of it was definitely biased, but they were like, oh, there's not enough proof. We can't. Glove didn't fit. So, number 3, everyone avoided contact with the blank old woman since she would keep you talking for hours about her many ailments and misfortunes.
Querulous.
Querulous, yes, very good. Number 4, about half an hour after taking a Tylenol, the pain in her head began to blank away.
Ebb.
Ebb, yes, very good. Number 5, while some people adore the rich, pungent flavor of camembert cheese, others find it completely blank.
Repugnant.
Yes, repugnant.
Repugnant.
Because technology, number 6, is constantly in a state of blank, a phone becomes obsolete almost as soon as it appears on the market and is replaced by a newer model.
Flux.
Flux, a state of flux. I feel like I almost always hear that phrase. Like if I'm hearing the word flux, it's saying a state, something's in a state of flux. Number 7, every time my college friends and I get together, we laugh and blank about the stories of our 4 years together at university.
Reminisce.
Reminisce, we sure do. Number 8, while many people post every political opinion they have all over their social media pages, some are more blank because they do not wish to engage in heated debates.
Reticent.
Reticent, yes. It's perfectly okay to be reticent in that way. Number 9, since she had just moved into her new apartment, she did not yet have much furniture or many decorations, leaving most of it looking very blank and uncomfortable.
Stark.
Stark, yes. I don't know why I made it a she. I feel like men's apartments are almost always more stark than women's apartments.
Okay, that one you're not lying. I saw my brothers and it's not real. It's not the cleanest.
Yeah,
It's
it's amazing how often men just like don't, and this is not a bad thing, but like men just don't feel the need to decorate like women do. So they'll have just like bare necessities.
yeah. My brother, if you look in his walls, it's blank walls. I always keep telling him, like, dude, add a poster or something.
Yeah.
Your house look more dead than mine.
It's very stark. Okay, number 10. Most wealthy, privileged people are unfortunately quite unaware and insensitive to the blank of the hungry and homeless people in our country because it's so far removed from their own version of reality.
Plight.
Plight, correct. All right, so we'll go over these again on Thursday before our quiz on Friday. Just keep those handy so that you can study. The thing I was going to tell you about is my fellow English teacher, Miss Sale, is doing a poetry slam with her class on the 4th. I wrote down January instead of February. And if any of you guys who write poetry would like to read a poem, she asked if any staff members or any older students would be down to do that, because obviously middle school, I think it's 7th grade. I'm not confident. No, not 7th grade. What does she teach that period? It'll be like 9th graders. Yeah, 9th graders. Oh yeah, they're going to be a little bit more reticent to read their stuff out loud because it can be embarrassing and they don't want to like be vulnerable about it. But if they had some other people, some older kids reading their poems aloud, that would be very handy. So if you're interested in doing that, let me or Miss Sale know. I'm probably going to read a poem. it's going to be Thursday, February 4th during first, third, and seventh period. So she's going to email all teachers about it. But what would happen is you would just miss like the first 10 minutes or so of each of those periods on that day and go into her Zoom and read. So just let me know if you're interested in that, because that could be fun.
I'm interested.
Okay. I will.
I got some poems I want to do.
Perfect. And I don't know
Yes,
yet.
I heard-
She's thinking like 1 per person, 2 per person. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I'll let her
Does it
know.
have to be anything specific?
No, there's no real rules. Like I'm trying to make sure mine are student friendly, and that's it. Like that's my only criteria. So
Oh, great. Guess I gotta take some. Guess I gotta change some of the poems I can't use.
yeah,
'Cause-
like just think about like your audience. If it's something that you are gonna feel weird about saying in front of other teachers and younger students, and then either pick a different one or change a thing or two about it.
Yeah, I have one poems about women. I don't know. I gotta share this one with you guys later
Okay.
because I need your guys' opinion on this. Because I read this to my aunt and one of my other tutors, Ms. Watson, and they had some words about that one.
Somehow I don't find that difficult to believe. In fact, so for the rest of the class, we're just gonna be like doing some discussion, the way that we would normally do, like 4 corners. I'm gonna do some agree, disagree, and some just question. But I was looking through it and I was like, I'm gonna save the questions about marriage and relationships for last, because I'm not gonna be sad if we don't get to them, because guaranteed LeBron is gonna say something that upsets everyone. And I'd rather avoid it.
Oh, mine not upsetting, just mine like, why not?
LeBron, let's not even joke about it not upsetting us, because it will.
I was like, let's get through some of the other things first. And then if we have time for LeBron to upset everybody, we'll go into that.
Oh, my bad. I upset you guys. Sorry. I look at it like, why not? Why?
No,
Why should-
you know what it is? It's not that I think you have said horrible things. More than anything, I just want to make sure that I think that you should wait like at least 10 years to get married. Because I feel like it's not gonna go well.
This experience changed a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. That's very true. Y'all will all change so much in the next 10 years. So don't try to grow up too fast. Okay, so this is one of the rare instances where, like, usually when I have these lists of questions, there's like several that I don't really like. I can throw them all out. But this is one where I actually really like all of the questions, except for maybe one. And so I'm sure we will not have time to get through all of these, but I think that they are good questions and definitely relevant to what we're gonna read about. So the first question I have for you guys, I'm not gonna phrase this one as a agree, disagree, but do you think that, how to phrase this? Do you think that we have the power to control our own destinies, or do you think that some things are meant to happen, or they're inescapable?
I believe
Easy first.
I believe that they are already laid out for us and that they're just waiting to happen.
For me, I don't believe that. Nothing in this world is set in stone, past, present, or future. Something can always change, even one's luck.
LeBron, sorry, this is not relevant to what you've just said, but the last several days, there's been like a beeping, like a chirp noise whenever you're on.
Fire alarm in the house is dead.
That's what I thought too. Is it a fire alarm?
No.
No. I was like, you need to change your batteries in your smoke alarm. I don't know what it is then, if it's not that.
No. I thought you were gonna talk about like what I said.
No, sorry. It's just that
You got my
happened
you got
again.
my hopes
It's
up.
like Has he not changed his batteries yet? But if it's not that, then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. No, the one of the things that we talked about in realism is that they are very much of the opinion that things are kind of already set out for you, and we're much more controlled by our environment, our heredity. I always want to say hereditary, but that's because I love that movie. Than we are by our own free will. Free will is really secondary to all that stuff. And I feel like that is the way that they frame it. It's a really negative point of view, but I don't feel like it has to be. Particularly, I mean, I've heard all of my life so many people say like God's got a plan, and if you believe in God and you believe that, then I guess that a lot of stuff would be already laid out for you. But how much wiggle room is there within that, and like, is everything laid out, or do you have options to help you get to where you are supposed to go?
That's what I believe. Like, it's all set out for us, but you have some wiggle room and choose whether or not, because there's always most likely going to be a second path to go down, and it'll probably just end you up in the same way, just rockier roads.
Get behind that.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Christian in the world, but I never believe in that kind of stuff. Like, the whole thing, like, gods have a plan. They all determine your fate. That kind of stuff I never believed in, because that's so boring to me. And that just me coming from my perspective, because they always said the same thing. The world, God give you a plan, you must execute. I'm like, no, I can deny. That's free will. What's the point of having free will if life is already determined for you? What's the point of having this whole new experience if life is determined for you? So what's the point? What's the point of living if everything in this world is planned out for you?
You're living the way that higher power chooses for you. Now, you can be you're living on terms, basically. So you're doing whatever you want to. However, there is going to be an end to it. And there most likely will always be a good to a bad and a bad to a good. So
that's life. But all depends on your perception on good or bad. Bad things can be good things can be bad things. All depends on your perception.
That is exactly right. And when taking that path, you see what happens, and for most people I know would question, well, why did I do this if it was just going to make me do this, or why did I do that if it was just going to happen like this, so that voice in your head is what is known as your higher power, depending on what you believe in. So if that voice is questioning it, then that was your higher power speaking to you and telling you do this or do that. So
fair, you may say it's your higher power, but for me, I always believe it's your conscience, your true self, your other half that's telling you, the risk and you took it. You gamble with this, so there's no point of crying.
I.e. your higher power.
All right. I guess it just depends on what you call it. Anybody else have any opinions on that one before we move on? Okay. So how about this one? Do you guys think that daydreams and fantasies are healthy outlets for people who are disappointed in real life? I think it's absolutely like, you should expect that if you're disappointed with life, you're definitely going to engage in some like daydreaming and fantasizing about how your life could be different. But is that a healthy approach?
It's not, but somewhat is.
Okay.
Without some form of like fantasy, you can aspire to do something great. But they say the whole follow your dreams. There's a difference between following a dream and having a plan for your dream. For me, military, I have a plan for this dream.
Mm-hmm.
Be loud again. But stuff like that. Like, a dream is one thing, but a dream with a plan is another.
Okay, so you're saying that like you can't just keep fantasizing about it and like dreaming about it. You have to eventually put it into action.
Basically.
Okay.
I kind of agree with that statement. I do believe it is a healthier way to deal with some things, because with mental health and things like this nowadays, there's not always a good way to deal with traumatic experience and things like that, because there's always the outcome of being on medication, when that's not always helpful and puts people more into more difficult situations. And then there's always the talking to a person that can kind of help as well. So fantasizing can be a good way of dealing with whatever problems you may have. But then there is also that part where if you fantasize too much, it can put you into danger as well too.
You're right about that. Fantasy can lead to delusion. Delusion can lead to your death or madness.
Exactly. And with all of that, it can harm you, but some fantasy is good in life.
It all depends how far this fantasy is. If it's a good fantasy, like, oh, I want to see what my days look like. I want to see if I'm gonna have a good day. I fancy having a good day. But some of the fantasy could be dark and twisted, like a madman dream of her, this one person he despised, or a woman.
Yeah.
And also it can be harmful if you just kind of like live in your daydreams and fantasies rather than actually living a whole full life on your own. Like if you just get so in your head about stuff and are just constantly like in a daydream, then that's, I don't think that's healthy.
I think you have a medical problem about that. Like you're kind of living your daydream. You must be either really sleepy, you must be a really good you must have a really good imagination, because I make guys like that. Heck, I'm someone like that. I have a really good imagination. Or you're just something wrong with you mentally.
I don't
If you
know.
can't
People
tell
are
what is reality or what's fantasy for you.
I don't necessarily mean like believing that your fantasies are real, but if you spend so much time like focusing on them and not really like living a full life outside of that, then I don't think that's healthy. I don't think it means there's anything wrong with you other than you just need to like snap out of it a little bit. Okay. Let's see. This may be the last one we have time for. Oh, heck. I'll go to a marriage question.
All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Come on.
All right, let's see.
I'm ready.
It is justifiable for a husband or wife to leave a marriage if they are bored or unhappy.
Wait, what was the question? One more time.
Do you think that it's justifiable for a man or a woman to leave their marriage if they are bored or unhappy?
After they talk about it, you have to have communication in all of it.
Hello?
I agree with that one.
Hello?
Hi, Randall.
Okay, I was saying hello for like the last couple of minutes. Y'all couldn't hear me. I don't know what was wrong with my audio, but I was trying to say something about the last question.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go back to that for a second, and then we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
What were you
About daydreaming and stuff.
mm-hmm.
Like that can when sometimes I'd be like daydreaming like of me like because I want to be a rapper, right? I'd be like thinking of myself like on the stage and stuff.
Yeah.
And like it just like it encouraged me to like work harder at it, and it's like it just makes me upset because it's like taking so long. But it depends like what you thinking about and like how you going about your way about it and stuff.
Yeah. I think that's a really good example of like healthy daydreaming, because that's like motivating you to try harder and to like push yourself further. And I think that that's kind of in conjunction with the first thing that LeBron was talking about, that like if you put some kind of action behind those dreams, it's not just like you thinking about what could happen, but you actually like take steps to make it happen. And I think that's totally normal and healthy and good. All right, so back to the marriage thing. Cece said
communication is first. If you can't figure out what's wrong, then 100% leave.
You're right about that. In all relationships, you need some form of communication. You're both bored, or one of you are bored. You have to communicate and tell them like, you don't satisfy me. You don't pique my interest. You don't give me the things I desire, which is
But
good, but it does make you sound like a total douchebag. So anybody who's going to that, flower it.
but then there are also, it is also the point of you will get bored in a relationship. There is just never not going to be a point where you get bored in a relationship. The relationship doesn't always stay in the honeymoon phase. So you either have to figure out how to work with that or just leave altogether, but you have to talk it out first.
True. If you don't talk about
it's
it,
one of those things. Wait, it's one of those things where you really have to learn to be comfortable alone before you get in a relationship with somebody, because then when like I'm sorry, I almost cussed and I caught myself, which is why I'm tripping up, so just give me like a second. What was I even saying?
You have to be comfortable with yourself before you're in a relationship.
Oh yeah. So that way when like it gets boring and whatever, like you're not going to be bored by it because you're already comfortable with like being alone. So then you have to like get accustomed to being alone, and like not alone, but like with them, comfortable and like entertaining by yourself. Like you really have to entertain yourself in those moments.
That's a really good point too, because like if you were, there are so many people who are so uncomfortable being alone that they would rather like move on to somebody else or like end a relationship that's really pretty good, just maybe a little bit boring at the moment, rather than like risk breaking up with somebody and being alone, or like they'd rather cheat on their significant other because they're like, oh, I'm feeling like I might be over it now, rather than be alone for a little while. And that's not healthy at all.
Yeah.
it's not.
Um
Uh-oh,
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense. Hold on. Hold on.
everyone just stopped and I was like,
I thought you were gonna say
Hey,
something, and I heard LeBron for a second. I was like,
Yeah, so like,
I
hey,
heard
the stage
LeBron,
is
so I
yours.
stopped.
No, you
Oh, my
stopped
bad.
talking. I said like, hey,
no,
I heard Alexis start to say something, then it just all stopped.
but let's finish this one up pretty quickly because the bell's about to ring. So one of the three of you.
I think what we're all trying to say is, you tying in all of our points, yes, you can leave, but you also need to be able to understand that you have to be happy by yourself, because there will always become boring times in a relationship. Just if you feel that you're done with that relationship, talk to that person and see what you can do.
and that's the only way you can do it. If you don't do it that way, well, you're in a crap relationship and it's gonna spiral down to madness.
Yes.
Yeah, it like that makes sense, because if you're in a relationship for a long time and it's gonna feel like it's gonna be so different, and you're gonna be like so upset because you're alone now, and it's hard.
Man, there's
Exactly.
guys or girls that are comfortable being alone. Some prefer it because, well, think about it. Relationship takes, well, it's responsibility. You have to think about others before you can think about yourself. And some of us are selfish. Some of us are not. Some of us can sacrifice that, but
Period. I'm selfish too.
some of us just don't want to be alone. So yeah, it's a kind of a like weird spiral, because if you don't want to get bored, well, you got to find something that you both are interested in. But if you're both stuck in boredom, well, talk about it, see how you can spice it up.
Yeah.
Anyone that's crabby in bed, which I'm not going to discuss more than that, find something.
I'm not.
But no, he has a point. He has a point. Like, if
Because-
it's not exciting anymore, then you guys have to talk about it.
No,
And
you're
I
Yeah,
think that's
so find
If
that's
it's
something.
not exciting, start a fight, bro. Like,
yeah,
I don't
exactly. Start a
understand.
fight.
No,
Find
I'm
something
not
to
talking
make
about
an
like a
argument
fight,
about.
but like me and Julio,
completely understand.
all the time I'm telling him to get up and box me. Same with
Exactly.
Melissa, you know.
Oh God.
You know,
Like,
Exactly.
whether it's romantic, friendship, or whatever, my favorite my favorite relationships are like ones where we can bicker and like pick at each other, because that's like it's exciting, it's fun, it like keeps us on our toes.
Exactly.
It's
You
never
gotta
a
be
boring
That's the kind of
aggressive.
relationship you look for. You both can talk crap to each other, but at the end of the day, you both
You
love
got
each other.
if y'all can't be aggressive with each other, then what's the point? If y'all can't land a few hits on each
It's
other,
really
then what's the
fun.
point?
It's actually really fun, bro. Because Saturday, my girlfriend came over and we was fighting.
Congratulations.
See,
And
and
we
he's
been
right.
body slamming each other and stuff.
Exactly. Like
Me and my
if
cousin.
if
go
you
ahead.
and a person cannot have an argument and be done with it, or like play fight all the time, then you know they won't have your back, because they will say the meanest things to you because they only know that about you. So if somebody is over there coming and attacking you who is not in that relationship with you, that person will automatically have your back because they know more things about you than you probably can know yourself.
Like me
So
and my cousin, we talk so much crap to each other. My uncle Richie always loud because we sound like two white guys bickering over a bull crap. It's always funny.
Okay.
I am trying to sound like an old married couple.
yes.
Go.
Yeah,
Ugh.
100%. I agree with you. All right, it's time to go. It's actually past time to go. So we will maybe do a little bit more of this tomorrow, maybe not. I don't remember my plans for today. So y'all have a good rest of your day.
Okay,
You too.
bye.